I want to talk about the Ahdsr envelope. Now, I've been using the ADSR modulator a couple different times here. For those of you who aren't familiar, the ADSR stands for Attack, Decay, Sustain, and Release. Generally, when you see these four letters here, we're talking about an envelope that shapes some sort of parameter as the note plays over the lifetime of the note. And you usually see this initially referred to an amplitude or a volume envelope, and this would shape the volume of the note over time. We have a volume envelope over here, and we see there's an extra letter here. We have an H. So we have attack, hold, decay, sustain, and release. Generally, the shape of the envelope is dictated by these four stages. The attack would be, if we're talking about volume, the attack would be how quickly the volume goes to its maximum after the note is struck. So if the attack was minimal, let's say like this, as soon as you strike the note, it's going to immediately go to full volume. After it reaches the end of the attack stage, there's going to be a certain amount of decay time. So we see this line going from A to D. After a certain amount of decay time, the note volume will rest at the sustain level. That's just a straight line right here. The sustain level was all the way up. After we strike the note, it will go to its maximum volume and just stay there. If the sustain is lower, we strike the note, goes to its maximum volume. It decays down to the sustain level after a certain amount of decay time. And then it'll stay here as long as we hold the note. Once we let go of the note will fade out based on a certain amount of released time. Now, our AHDSR envelope, the H here is a hold parameter. The hold parameter will basically hold the attack stage a little bit longer. So instead of immediately going up and then decaying, it'll go up, hold for a bit, and then decay. Now, this envelope is hardwired to the volume of our sound, to the amplitude. But we can also use this as a modulator. We see this little arrow over here and use it to modulate other things. So this particular sound right now, looking at this envelope here, we have the attack is relatively short. If I wanted the sound to fade in, I can make the attack longer. But I don't necessarily really want it to fade in like that. But what could be interesting is to make it, instead of long sustaining notes, maybe make it a bit more of a pluck type sound. Now, if I reduce the sustain level all the way, now when I hold the note down, it's only going to last for as long as the attack and decay stages. If I make the decay time longer, the note has more time to decay, but it's not going to keep sustaining because the sustain level is all the way down. Now, I like the idea of the notes not completely sustaining, but I don't want them to die out too quickly because I want to hear some of that cool modulation I set up earlier, so this could be all right. Increase the release time a bit so they don't die out too abruptly. So again, let's say that I want to also have something else follow the shape of this envelope. Well, what I could do is assign this modulator to another parameter. Well, yeah, it's already affecting the volume. Might as well have the gain parameter increase as well. So I'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, assign it to the gain parameter like so, and let's hear it. That makes quite a bit of difference. And again, we see it's following the shape of the envelope here. Okay, so now there's a bit more room for things to breathe. So again, that is our AHDSR envelope. Now, if I wanted the volume to sustain a little bit longer after the attack stage, that's when I could introduce the hold time. So now with the hold time relatively long, if I hold this down, you can see it's displayed in seconds, 2.291 seconds. A little bit longer than I'd like. But that could be a fun thing to modulate as well. But alas, I digress. So the only other thing to show here really is that we can change this from an AHDSR envelope to a one-shot envelope, which will just give you the ability to control the fade in and fade out parameters. And it's going to be really useful if you have things in here that are more percussive or sounds that you just want to play all the way out. But anyway, let me go back to what I have here. Boom. All right. Now, with all this said, we've been playing around with the sampler just using one sample. Another major feature is that the multi-sample mode has been dramatically overhauled. So let's start layering some samples in here and see how much further we can take this wonderful instrument.